Welcome back to Geoffs Fishroom Tour. Today we're going to talk about water. Water is kind of important because our fish live in it. So there's two parts to my water system. One is obviously taking the water out of the tanks, and the second part is putting the water back into the tanks. Now I prefer the vacuum method to suck the water out of the tanks. And I pick a long hose here which gets to every tank in the room. I do prefer the vacuum method because most of my fish do what I call heavy poo, and a lot of the fry live within the poo. Well, they don't live within it, but you know, they like to hang out, and so I felt that an automated system would pose a risk of sucking up the fry. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of poo there already. I do like to change between 30 and 50% of the water twice a week, and within the fish room there is 6,700 litres of water in tanks, and so it takes 6 to 7 hours to remove the water. Okay, so there's a couple of things that help me out. This here looks like a empty milk bottle, a plastic milk bottle with the top cut off, but in fact it is a WMD, and that is a water muting device. So if I turn on the water for extraction, it's kind of loud, and after 6 or 7 hours that gets really annoying. So if I set the muting device, once that fills up, which is going to happen pretty soon, then the whole world gets a whole lot quieter, and that's much more palatable for 6 or 7 hours. So basically I just go around all the tanks and reduce the amount of water I want. A lot of the tanks have level indicators on them there. So there's the full level, and there's the empty level. I write on my tanks so I know what's going on in them, because there's just too many otherwise. So sucking out the water is just a job that has to be done. Also, I find that the vacuuming technique is just a little bit more intimate because you can examine your fish all the time. We're quite lucky here because the water that comes out of the tap has a TDS in the mid to low 40s and an artificially raised pH to mid to high 7s. That presents one problem, is that there is no detectable hardness in the water, so I can lose about 1 pH a day once the water is in the tanks with the fish and their biological activities. So I fixed that using oyster shell as a semi-natural buffering agent. For filling the tanks, I have my fantastic 3 1,000 litre containers that sit in here. These are all connected via a series of taps, and basically that enables me to, if I want to, treat each individual tank for any sort of pH shifting or anything else like that I want to do. Also heat the water. In the winter the groundwater is about 7 degrees, and that's just a little bit cold to put into the tanks, so I use this tap here to fill the tanks, and there's a stop valve up in this one so they don't overflow, and then I turn on this little system here which has in it 2 pumps, one here, one here. They pump the water over and into the tank beside it, likewise on the other side, and that water goes down through and back into the central tank and up. In the winter I have to heat it, and in the summer I don't have to heat it because the water is about 17 degrees by the time it's got into these tanks, and I get about 2 degrees a day rise in temperature just from the friction of the water running through the piping systems. To put the water back in the tank, so I always need to pump it. So I have this really nice pump here that's super quiet. It's an MD55, and it will fill 3 tanks of this size. These are 108 litres in the same time it takes to empty 2 tanks. So I sort of run around after myself. The last of my little water toys is this here. This is my rose, which is just the end of a watering can. That means that whatever pressure I'm running the water out at, I just get rain falling on the tanks and I don't actually cause a disturbance in the tank. This connection here is the connection bit for a fluval canister filter, which means I can either clip that onto the tanks that have no lip on them, and if they have a lip I can hook that over there, which I can demonstrate on a tank over here. So this tank has no lip, and rose will clip on like that, which is pretty cool. This tank here does have a lip, and in that case rose will sit there like that quite happily. So it's not automated in any way, but it certainly fills them a day. Alright, hope you enjoyed that. Thank you.